What's up everybody? So in today's video, today actually marks 1 year since I took delivery of the Nissan GT-R. Today is the 27th of January. That is the day that this thing got delivered. It has been an absolute blast owning this car for the last year, and it's been a dream car of mine for 10 years, and I really do enjoy so many aspects of it. So a few months after I bought the car, I made a video, the classic 5 things I hate about my car video. Has quite a lot of views, especially a lot compared to the video where I made of 5 things I love about it. For some reason, people definitely like seeing what you hate about your car. So in today's video, we're kind of remaking it 1 year later, a year later of daily driving this. This is my only car. So I've used it for a lot of the normal day-to-day things as well as the fun sports car, supercar things as well. So 1 year later, what do I really dislike about the car? What do I hate about it? And what about the car are you actually sacrificing to own a GT-R as your daily driver car? So with this video, please don't take it too seriously and think that I actually hate the car and wish I bought a Honda Civic or an Audi luxury car or something. I love the car, it's fantastic. However, no car is perfect. There are things about this car that are flaws, that are annoying. Some things do drive me crazy. Some things are minor things that, take it or leave it, but are still annoying. So we're gonna get into that real quick. First things first though, we have new apparel. That link is live in the description below. We only have 50 of each design. They're selling out quickly, so hurry up and get them while they last. We have a lot of really cool designs, some GT-R outlines, Audi R8 stuff, Tacoma stuff, even 370Z stuff. So we have a lot of really cool designs as well as just the normal logo. So be sure to check that out in the description below. So then to start off the video, the things I said in the previous video were the reversing beeping, the seat wear, the drivetrain clunks, the heated seat buttons, and the trunk space. So I had a few reasons between those 5 things of why I didn't like them. So to start off talking about the seat wear, this is something that I mentioned when I bought the car, because when I purchased the car, looking at used ones, I noticed a lot of cars had a rip right here. So that was really just something, if you're looking for a GT-R, notice that some of them are going to have a tear right here on the seat. I think it's because there's like a metal piece in here that if you sit on this a lot, it can cause that to wear out. So I was just saying, as a design flaw, they could have done something a little bit better rather than putting this like chunk of metal or plastic right inside on this thin leather piece. So that was just something minor I wanted to point out. Another thing that I didn't like was the heated seat button. This is where it's located, and it looks cool from this perspective, but when you go ahead and hop inside the car, this is where it kind of gets annoying. From in here, it's really hard to see the button. It's way down there. So as a driver, sometimes you actually forget that your heated seat is on. You obviously reach your hand down, click it forward, click it all the way back, and that's how you operate it. And then the other drawback, the passenger side one, is way over here. And the thing that I was complaining about is sometimes you'll forget the button is on. So a lot of times, a cold day, maybe I'm only going a short distance, I'll turn my heated seat on, go somewhere, get out of the car, and then hop back in the car a little bit later, forgetting that it was on. Maybe it warmed up later in the day, and then 10 minutes later driving, all of a sudden my butt and back are really, really hot. And then of course I remember the heated seat is probably on, so I look over, say, yep, it's on. So it's just a little bit annoying. And then for the passenger, a lot of times, this happens many times if I have a passenger in the car, the button will be on, get back in the car the next day with no passenger, and the heated seat for the passenger will be on. Now a lot of people commented saying that these all have a sensor in them where if they don't detect weight, they're not going to turn on. That is not true for the GT-R. I've done it many times. I've done it in a cold day. I turned that seat on just to see what it would do, and it warmed up like normal. So that seat can be on if no one is sitting there. And I just thought it was kind of an annoying thing to deal with. Nothing too major, of course, but I feel like if they put them right here, it'd be a little bit better to know if the buttons are on or off. So next up on the list, I talked about trunk space. Now this car actually has a ton of space in it. I've done so many road trips with it with a lot of storage in the back. As you can see, I have a big jacket, some other things, my camera bag in here. So there's no shortage of space in this car. It's definitely really good. One thing I had mentioned was it would be cool if the seat backs actually folded down, just because I figure being an all-wheel drive 4-seater car, how cool would it be if this car had even more practicality where those seats folded down so you could fit something long through there, such as a snowboard. Now, a lot of people like literally rip me a new one in the comments because how stupid would anybody be to bring a GT-R in the mountains to go snowboarding? This is an all-wheel drive car, If you have snow tires or winter tires on this, this is more than capable for going in the snow, going up a treacherous mountain to get to the ski slopes, to hit the slopes. So who wouldn't want, if you like snowboarding, to be able to put your boards in the GT-R and take it up there? That would be a pretty fun thing to do. And in all honesty, being that this car is so practical, who wouldn't want it to be even more practical with that capability? However, the reason why they don't is there's so much structure in this car. That is a solid piece of metal back there. There is no way the engineers could have done it and kept the rigidity the same. So that kind of is it for the GT-R. That's the structure of it. That's a lot to change. But in all honesty, looking at cars that are laid out similarly like an M4, that'd be pretty cool. So that wraps up talking about the little minor things that I said were just kind of annoying / weird about the car. Nothing, of course, that I actually hate about it. Now we're gonna get to the things that do annoy me about the car. So this is a 2014 model year. Some of them are different. Each GT-R is actually a little bit different than the next. And year by year, they have changed a lot. So let's go ahead and start it up. When you put this car into reverse, it will beep. Now, it's not because my seatbelt is off, it is no other reason than that it is in reverse. As you can hear, that is an annoying loud beep, and that is it. There's really no way to get through it. Actually, we're gonna shut that off, but there's no way to get around it. I think there's an aftermarket kit that bypasses a lot of wires. I really don't want to dive into the electrical system of this car and mess something up. Some GT-Rs, I think either newer ones like 16s and up or 12s and olders, they don't have the reverse beep. It only is audible on the inside of the car. So if I put it back in reverse, e-brake on nice and tight, I'll even get out of the car, and as you can hear, there's no beeping on the outside, so it doesn't alert anybody that we're in reverse. Obviously, you can see I'm in reverse, but as we get back into the car, this is what you get on the inside of the car. So that is just a minor annoyance. I have learned to live with it. I've learned to kind of tone it out, so I really don't notice it that much, but it is pretty annoying. It's loud, especially in the morning when I back out of my garage. It's pretty annoying. So next up is the drivetrain clunking. The reason why I talk about this is because when I bought the car, you know, I talked with a lot of GT-R owners, I read a lot of forums to really understand what this car was going to be like to own, and nobody really said about how bad the drivetrain clunking would be. I knew that slow speed you could hear like the bell housing rattle and little stuff like that, but I never really got an understanding of, from a personal day-to-day driving aspect, how clunky and annoying it can be. So with the car running again, you can hear some drivetrain clunk while it's in neutral. It may not come off on camera as well as in person, but there's a lot of noises that the drivetrain makes. And then when you even just shift through the gears like in park, you can hear all the shifting. Now that's not something that I exactly hate about the car. It is kind of cool how it just gives it a very mechanical feeling. The people who say these are boring robotic cars, having that much drivetrain noise adds a lot of drama and character to it. The downside is when you are driving at slow speeds, it is really clunky. Like if you're backing up with your wheels turned, especially on a colder day, the rear end pops and clicks. It feels like it's got a locked differential. It's really annoying. The front end bounces around a little bit. There's a lot of wheel chop for it. Now luckily with this car, I don't know if it's on all the GT-Rs or just maybe like 12s or newer or something, but if we go back inside the car now, the save mode button for the transmission switch right here, you can put this up into race mode, normal, and then down into save. If you hold it for 5 seconds in the save mode, it actually disengages the front end of the car. So it makes this car completely rear wheel drive, completely disengaging the front differential and everything. And it will keep it like that up to like 7 miles an hour. And that does a really good job. So I have gotten in the habit of doing that. If I'm backing out of a tight space or pulling into something very tight, I'll go ahead and pop it into save mode, hold it down for 5 seconds, let it disengage. That way I can make a 3-point turn without the front end wheel chop, and it just makes it a lot smoother, but you still do get the rear end clicking and popping noises. It sounds really bad. When we were looking at houses and stuff in the last few weeks, I did not enjoy driving this around, pulling into all these driveways, doing U-turns and all that sort of things. It was just a very clunky car to drive. And then along with the drivetrain noising and the clunkiness in slow speed, when you are driving it in slow speeds, there's a lot of weight that you can feel like put on the transmission. If you're giving it a little bit of gas and let go, you can feel it clunk as it kind of slows down to having the transmission weigh on it. So it's weird driving in slow speeds, and no one really told me that before I bought it. Now, does that mean I hate it and want to sell it because it's horrible? No, I love the car. It's a lot of fun to drive. And from what I've heard, 2017 and up, it's way better, very refined. But as far as the first generation R35s, the slow speed stuff is not its strong game. So the final thing that I hate about the car, and in all honesty, aside from having it be a pretty clunky car in the slow speeds, the one and only thing that I truly hate about this thing is the brakes. They are the most squeaky brakes I have ever encountered. I've never dealt with a car as bad as this. Now this is factory Brembo brake right from Nissan. Everything's in really good shape. I have a lot of pad life left, so everything's really good. but they squeak so bad, especially at slow speeds when they're not warmed up. I know you guys have seen in many videos trying to solve this, and even one thing really weird, for the 2014 at least, Nissan does not have the upper pin spring retainer clip in there. So when you buy these cars, the upper pin on a lot of them actually just rattles around and makes the weirdest like loose change noise up front. So Nissan's braking system they use, I just don't think is the most daily drivable friendly. Now I popped in a new retainer spring in there, as you guys saw in a previous video, and I'll have a lot of these videos linked in the description below, and that got rid of that loose change jingling noise, which was awesome. But these things still squeak really bad, as you guys have seen. Now I've talked with Nissan technicians on this, the GT-R techs, to see why they really do this. These are very, very high performance brakes, and that's what they do. You either get really good car that stops on a dime, or you get quiet brakes. That's kind of how they worded it. So this thing, it really shines when you're under high heat, high performance. Racetrack settings are not too loud, but around town they're never getting that hot, therefore they're pretty squeaky and just kind of annoying. So that about wraps up talking about 5 things I hate about this car 1 year later. In all honesty, do I hate owning it? No, I think it's pretty awesome to drive. I'm really enjoying the ownership period. I have more mods planned for it to make it even faster. We got the Armytrix Exhaust, the full stage 2 tune. So it's a pretty sick setup for now, but then just to recap, yes, some of them might have some wear on the driver's seat, so if you're looking for a new one, just be cautious of that. The heated seat buttons, I would prefer them in a better space just to make the car that much more usable. The reverse beeping is annoying. I wish I could shut that off. The drivetrain is very clunky. It makes a lot of noise. It's very jerky in the slow speed setting. So if you're buying the first gen R35, you're gonna have to get used to it and understand that it is like no other automatic you'll ever drive. And it is actually more clunky than a manual around town. I would much rather be in a manual when I'm driving this in slow speeds. But of course, the performance in this car, the twin clutch automated manual, is insanely quick, very responsive for the kind of power this car has. The trunk space is pretty awesome. Of course, it could be better, but I'm really not complaining about that. And then of course, the last thing, the brakes are insanely squeaky. But that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed talking about this GT-R 1 year later after taking delivery of it. Just the things that I'm not really the biggest fan of it. Overall though, it's insanely fun to drive. It's so fast. I cannot get over how fast this car is, and I definitely love owning this thing. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a huge thumbs up, smash the subscribe button. Don't forget to check out all of the new merchandise in the description below. We have a lot of really cool designs. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you all next video.